is your framework for thinking about how you peg a value on any of these? Because most of when you read people, you're like, oh, you can't hope to value it or whatever. But you actually have come out with valuations. How do you begin? What's your methodological approach to arriving at numbers like 1.2 trillion, things like that?
It's a great question, and I think it starts with the use case. So the use case is, what is a digital currency best used for? And I think it's been the best use case is what they call financial corridors, right? It's great for money transfer, wires, and some currency pairs. But it's also serving as a store of value in people's minds, because with cryptographic hashing and the security, there is digital scarcity, right? You can't create fake Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is capped, and so it actually acts as a store of value. And if you question whether you can actually own Bitcoin, remember, if you were to take control of the entire mining network or acquire all 21 million Bitcoin, you would own the blockchain. So you can actually own, the blockchain. So if Bitcoin is viewed as a store of value, then I think you just have to compare the concept of what is the store value, how much does Bitcoin capture? So if it captures 5% of the gold market, it's roughly $25,000. And I would say it's easily going to capture over time, as millennials start to invest, more than 5% of what would be called gold. But the other way to look at it is network value. That is very similar to Facebook, as you guys were talking about. The value of Bitcoin is actually a log function of the number of wallets. And so 93% of the movement in Bitcoin has been explained by two variables since 2013.
So do you then apply that equally to all cryptocurrencies? Because they do have some significant differences between them in some cases, or do you then have to come up with different models for these?
Well, I mean, there's I think over 2,000 have been created and lost that have reached at least a couple $1 million in value. So there's a huge universe of them. And many have their own blockchain, and some even don't use a blockchain. And they all have different use cases. So I think it varies by token. I don't know what the future looks like. My guess is that it's just like every other industry, so it's going to have a Herfindahl concentration. 2 or 3 players are going to be the most important.
Bitcoin being one of them?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin and I think Ethereum. Ethereum has a lot of use cases because it's proven. I mean, many tokens are being issued on it. But I don't, so they'll be the dominant players in a market of unknown size.
What kind of correlation is there going to be between cryptocurrencies and the traditional asset classes, equities, bonds, currencies, commodities?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because we publish this daily, the cross correlations to tokens to each other and tokens to asset classes. But Bitcoin's correlation is essentially non-existent to equities, commodities, bonds, and hedge funds.
Would you expect that a correlation to emerge over time as Bitcoin sort of finds an equilibrium price and stables out?
Maybe. Interestingly, it's most negatively correlated to gold, so it looks like it is cannibalizing gold. It hasn't risen since the futures have been trading, so I think institutions are still really refusing to own crypto.
And does it also get to a size where it becomes more systemically important? I mean, people who are sort of down on the idea of cryptocurrency say, well, it doesn't matter anyway because the thing could crumble and it would not affect the financial system. Does it get to a size? Is it size that would be the tipping point?
So if crypto was a nation, and you say, where does it sit in the global market caps? It is the 19th largest country market for risky assets. It's bigger than Brazil and Spain and Ireland and Greece. And if it reaches our target, it'll be the 11th largest market. So, I mean, I'd say that, look, you have whole investment banks and whole financial industry focused on Thailand or Vietnam, or they're smaller than the crypto market today.
Has obviously one of the big stories of the second half of 2017 was this idea that the institutional wall of money was going to come in with the futures and maybe an ETF. Its stories fizzled out a little bit with the fact that the futures launched, and actually that proved to be the peak for now. You talk to clients all the time. Have you noticed a diminishment in their interest at all?
I think there's still a wait-and-see attitude. You have to get a whole... It's like trying to build an auto plant in Alabama. Like, imagine when, GM or the Korean or BMW built the first plant in South Carolina. You have to build that whole ecosystem around it, like the supply chain and the roads. And for Wall Street to really say, I'm going to plant a flag there. So I think it's all happening very slowly. I mean, I would say that from the change in client interest and conversation we have, it's pretty much a fait accompli. It's going to happen. But if someone's saying, prove it now, I think they're looking for the wrong signposts.